Hey everyone, gonna wait for some people to get in here as usual, and yeah, I think we will start off with doing a few different I'll take a look at a couple of the questions and answer things that I did throughout the week, and as we wait for portfolios to get submitted. And but I'm going to start it off with an interesting story that just happened. I'm just looking at the stream. A couple days ago, my 5-year-old, she's almost 6. She'll be 6 in a couple days. She was mad at me for some reason, some stupid thing, and she was in my office and she turned the lock on my doorknob inside to lock it, and she said, I almost locked myself in here or something. I'm like, whatever. Anyhow, literally, I think it was like 15 minutes before this stream began, I walk out to go to the bathroom, and for some reason, I closed the door. I came back, and it's locked. I locked myself out, or my daughter's actions resulted in me being locked out. And so I called my wife. I was like, do we have the key for this thing? No, of course not. I haven't seen it in like 3 years. So I had to take a hammer and just put a hole in my door in order to gain access to do this live stream. Good stuff, good stuff. Now my door is all jacked up. All right, so it's telling me my stream health is not green. It's like in the middle. If I'm lagging, let me know, because although I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it. All right, it's green now. Good stuff. Yeah, I had to break into my own room. All right. All right, so while I wait for you guys, well, let me just preface what I'm doing here. I've been doing this for over 2 months now, I think. Anyhow, so this is just a live show where I do portfolio reviews. So what you can do is the link in the description here at the bottom of YouTube. You click on that link, it takes you to Discord, which is a chat application, and you go to the portfolio submissions channel right here, and then you submit your design portfolio. And I only want to do reviews of portfolios with 2 criteria. First, I don't want to review the same thing. So if you already submitted it, don't submit it unless you changed it up significantly in some way. And number 2, don't submit a review or something or portfolio where you didn't design it yourself. I don't care about reviewing templates or whatever. I just want to help you as an individual. All right, and so what I'll also do while I wait for some of these to get submitted, so we have enough in the queue, I'll go over a few of the question and answer things through my videos throughout the week. All right, so I didn't have time to prepare these into slides like I usually did, but I'll just go over just a couple of these. So we had a question here. All right. The question was, do you think it's better to be a developer who is good in design or a designer who is good in development? All right. So we had quite a few responses here. Actually, not really, only 33. But Traversy Media actually responded. But my take is basically, if I were forced to choose, I'd say it's worth being a developer first and then a designer second. Being able to create fully functional products with a decent UI is preferable to developing mediocre products with a great UI. All right, so I started out as a designer and then got into code. So it's one of those things. There's actually a third element that I think is probably maybe even more important than those two, and that is understanding marketing. And you could have the greatest product, the greatest back end and front end, but if you don't know marketing, if it's your own project, it's worth nothing. So I think if I would revise that question, I would say I would rather be a marketer first, then a developer, then a designer. But anyhow, Brad basically said the same thing that I said here. And of course, this is the video from Monday this week. So Figma just introduced micro interactions, and you could check out some of the comments here. I'm not going to read any. And then 2 days ago, I did an AMA, Ask Me Anything, and we got a ton of questions here, 155. I spent the first day answering those, and then there's probably some I haven't yet answered. But why Montserrat? Of course, my answer was why not. Let's check the YouTube here, or the stats here. And but yeah, you can. I've actually gave a lot of advice here in some of these different questions that we have. Some that are some people ask the same questions, but I gave the same responses. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably just go ahead and do the portfolio reviews, assuming we have enough. If I can find Discord. All right. Okay, well, we'll start up here. This was submitted at 11 a.m., so just 30 minutes ago. I'll start with these and work my way down. Now, if you absolutely wanted me to do your portfolio review, but I don't have enough time, I usually do these for about an hour, then you can send a super chat and I'll do it no matter what. Otherwise, you can wait till next week. All right, so I'm just going to get started here. These were submitted today. That's fine. I'll definitely get to these ones down here and then probably a few more. So let's get started here. So we got a Wix site link. All right, that's showing up off my other monitor. Before I begin, let me just start real quick and be sure that everything's good here in the chat room. All right, good stuff. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. Now, I'm not sure when it comes to the Wix website builder, I mean, if how customizable it is, if this was a predefined template of some sort, I don't know. But my initial reaction is the header is kind of strange. It's just everything else in this section is pretty much 100% fluid, but this section right here is not. I would rework the header probably. Definitely bold up the type for your name, because it seems like it's almost an afterthought. These two different types here, they look like they're different fonts almost, so they don't mesh well in my opinion. Outside of that, this part isn't too bad. It works well. I'm not sure what this is. This might be some type of thing that Wix. Oh, Wax is awesome. I thought it said Wix is awesome, like it was some type of automatic integrated ad. These are fine in terms of type and all that, and contrast and fundamentals. Yeah, I really think the biggest part that needs fixed is the header. And I think you could drastically improve everything if you fix the header. All right. So let's move to the next one. Let's open this link. Now this has a loading animation of some sort. Let's refresh that. All right. I'm not too sure about these Bezier curves. It seems a little bit too hectic. I would try to simplify them so that there's less anchor points and just make it a little bit more smoothed out. It seems a little bit too much. It almost looks like slime in this type of, and plus they're not exactly smooth. I could tell like right here, it's not a very smooth sort of Bezier curve, and that's happening in a few areas. So I would simplify this section much more. I like the colors. I like the contrast. Any darker in this would be not enough contrast, but I think it's fine. The About Me, that I would try to make it stick out a little bit more. The the button background is almost the same shade as this background, and the About Me is pretty, I would make it stick out just a bit more. But outside of that, this is all fine. All right, so the About Me section. So the text here, since this is really important text and it's smaller than this text, I would increase the contrast by lightening it up a bit. It's a little bit too dark. I mean, I can read it, but some people won't be able to read that very well, especially some old people if they're going to hire you or something, anybody with bad eyesight. Again, everything's really dark here. I'd like to see a little bit more contrast with the type elements. I like it outside of that, though. Just the contrast is an issue. Yeah, increase the contrast. Everything else is pretty solid here. Yeah, and if you're going to include these elements, you know, and this is kind of a trendy thing. I cover this in my 2018 design trends. I would simplify these a little bit more. All right, thanks for that. All right, let's continue on. That was Sean. Let's open this link. All right, unfortunately, I don't know what exact language this is in, but there's not enough happening here for me to really understand or to give a good solid critique. This is a weird convention for me, having a search be the first thing and then a logo on the right. Everything seems flipped in terms of like standard conventions. Yeah, there's just not enough for me to go off of. I'm really not sure I would be doing pop-ups either. So yeah, get a little bit more here and then resubmit it in terms of design and content, and I'll be able to give a better review. Sorry about that. Let's see here. That's DF. Next one. All right. So let's see here. The call to action, and especially on this resolution where I'm on a 1920 by 1080 monitor with the desktop fully expanded, you definitely want to increase the size of this type, because you have the ability at this viewport. The call to action button right here, it doesn't stick out enough. The background has this dark sort of desaturated blue, and you're using a blue outline on it, and it has some whites in it as well. So the white text, it kind of gets lost in it. So I would probably, you know, if you're going to use this background, I would either fill this in with a solid color so it stands out more, or take the background and lower the opacity and make sure there's a black behind it, and that way it'll be darker and the foreground elements will stick out more. Let's see here. The way you have this set up, this type right here, these two elements, the heading and this type, I would probably want to separate that out visually, and you can do that in multiple ways. You can you know, change it through spacing, you know, push this down a little bit more, this description from this section, make this bold, or you could take this text and make it like a light or a mid-gray color. It would still have enough contrast to read, but it would separate them out more. It's just a little bit too close together. So I would experiment with that. Yeah, I'm not really sure about the black text on this type of blue. I'm not sure what it would look like if we change this all here. Let's do this to white. That might be better. I think white instead of black on that blue would work a little bit better. And again, I would space this out. You know, what I'm talking about up here and here, it's the same thing. I would put margin bottom 30 pixels, and that spaces it out more, gives it more room. Same thing up here and here. Same thing with these titles. There's yeah, I would definitely space this out. You know, on this larger viewport resolution, I would give more room on the top and bottom of this, because right now things are really kind of scrunched together a little bit too much. All right, so outside of that, solid. Just a few minor changes really would be improve, and a big improvement. All right, let's do the next one. Let me check the chat, make sure everything. Oh, it's Hebrew. Okay, that's why. All right. Yeah, they like flip everything, don't they? Or not. I don't know. Let's see here. Let's do the next one. That is Nicholas. We'll do a Busta. All right, I like this one already. Let me move this over here. Shoot. What is love? Huh? All right, so. All right, I like the background. You have different design elements. It's like a watermark, and it contrasts well with the foreground elements, which is good. I'm not too sure about this heading section, or the menu, the navigation. It's not 100% obvious that they're links, but it's a minor gripe though. Let's click about. All right. You know what, I like this effect, but I would probably speed it up a little bit more. Just make it come in, sit there a couple, like two or 3 seconds, and then come out, and just speed up the animation and make it sit there quite a you know, for a few seconds so people can easily read it. In terms of design, I like this layout. It's different. Yeah, definitely a lot of white space, you know, on this larger resolution, so it works well. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, I like what I see here. Nice use of illustrations. I'm not too sure about the whole F and E being bold. It kind of throws things off a little bit. So maybe I would make it just bold or just regular. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Good card-based design. Nice. This is solid. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Let's see here. Moving on. That was a boost. Next one. All right. Let's see here. Solid header, I would say, in navigation. Suitable place for the social media links. These work well. I don't know. I would probably remove this section because it just adds. It's a distraction. That stuff could be put in the footer. You already have it up here. Yeah, and I think that would be better. And then this type, that's fine. This works well. These are looking pretty solid here to me. Good call to actions. Secondary call to action, you know, definitely it sticks out, but it's definitely secondary, obviously. So we have the case study here. That's the most important thing for this particular element here. The type works well. This works as well. Yeah, I would say this is all solid. Very, very good. I don't have pretty much, you know, any gripes. So those last two reviews, I didn't have to review much. Good stuff. Crocodile Zero. Let's open that one up. All right. All right, let's see here. That's kind of strange. The same exact links here, placement as the last one. Maybe there's some type of template or something going on out here. I have no clue. But this does look different. I would separate these out a little bit more in space in terms of horizontal. I'd maybe bold this just to make it a little bit different from these. I know it's a little bit larger size, but this is, yeah, simple but still effective. Good white space, contrast, and color. Looking at this, we have kind of the gallery. So this is solid, nice. Yeah, looking solid so far. Let me go back here, back to portfolio. Good card-based design. Testimonials. This works. Made with Jekyll and Bootstrap. All right, good stuff. Yeah, there's not too much going wrong here that I could really say, oh, this needs improved. So yeah, good stuff. Let's go with this one. Wait, what is happening here? We just did that one. Did he like do that twice or what the hell? I'm gonna make sure I didn't lose my space here. I'm gonna do this one, open link. All right, let's refresh this. All right. So I would get rid of the F. The thing that's rotating, that's just kind of a distraction. Second to that, I would probably scale. That's interesting. I would scale this down a bit more. It seems almost too face in a sense. It's good that you're not doing the opposite thing where everything's too small and hard to read, but this is almost, I mean, this is definitely a little bit too big. I would scale it down. You have a lot of space here, obviously, where perhaps, you have front end developer here, but I would make this stick out a little bit more because it almost gets lost into the background, like it's a part of this the watermarked section over here. And then maybe you could elaborate even more a little bit, like in a sub headline where you also have a call to action of some sort, like, check out my work or whatever, because you don't really have that right now. You just have, this stuff right here. Yeah, you do have the links over here, but this is kind of secondary. I'm also not sure I would stick it all the way on the very right. The standard convention for a sidebar when it comes to important stuff would be on the left, in my opinion. So it'll be easier for people to see that as well. They're used to looking, from left to right. Right here, this works. I understand this is something still in development. Obviously, you probably want a little bit more content here. This section is way too blown up on this resolution. It's these cards, I would scale them down by about 50% or so. Because looking at it on this size, it's just like it's hard to really follow in that regard. This right here, I would put some padding here on the inside of these text areas, because the placeholder text is right up against the edge. You want things, you want to have an equal amount on the top and bottom. You have it, but not on the left and right. It's also a good idea usually to put labels as well, as somebody mentioned in the chat. Call to action sticks out well. That's fine. And if you say you want to chat, please feel free to reach out. Look forward to hearing from you. I'd put some sort of call to action or your links, your social media links or whatever, the ways to contact you right there. All right. Thanks for that. That is Fernando. check out this one. All right. All right, I like this so far. Nice logo, icon, symbolism right here. Simple navigation up here. This type is very good. Kind of just tells your name, what you are, okay, and then it contrasts well with this type right here. This over here, the Bezier curves is what I was talking about from that one submission several submissions ago, where you had too many curves worked in there. This is a better example of having a Bezier curve illustration that's a lot more simplistic. So that's what I was definitely referring to. Let's hit portfolio. I like it. Very solid. The type is all very well structured in terms of contrast and visual hierarchy. We know this is my portfolio page, so it's given prominence up here. We have a description and then a simple navigation to filter through these. And these, yeah, I like the overlays and the type and everything. Very good stuff. Here's the about, 2-column layout. It's working well. No issue with the type. Contrast works well. And a good map. Yeah, this is very good. Nothing really for me to say you need to change stuff. Very good. All right, didn't I just see this one? Yes, Athens. I already reviewed that one, so I'm not clicking that link. Let's do this one. Open link. All right. There we go. We got the particle background. It took a while this time for us to get a particle background. All right, still works. At least it's not too prominent and too crazy. The contrast here works well. Looks like you used that what do you call that recent tutorial I did on animating individual characters, or maybe not. I might separate this out a little bit more. I would put margin top on top of this content right here. Push it down just a tad bit more from this type right here. But again, that's a minor thing. This seems to work. Nothing that's going on that's too wrong. Although the padding or the margin from here to here is off. Like there's more, slightly more, like 30% more width from here to here, so it throws it off a little bit in terms of consistency. So I would just move them over. All right. I'm not sure about this part because this this illustration is very vibrant and colorful, and it's overlaying on top of my first portfolio. I would change that up. Definitely try to simplify that more. Projects. When it comes to thumbnail galleries of website screenshots, landing pages, I'm always usually a fan of separating those out with padding between them and margin, so white space. The previous one I did, he did that well. Because these, it's kind of it's hard to see like when one begins and one ends. Like for instance, these are both white backgrounds right here, but they seem to run into each other, so it creates an issue there. So I would put these possibly in like in a card layout of some sort. Other than that, everything here is pretty solid. Just a few things, just a few couple of things that I would change. Thanks for that submission. All right, here is Rocky. That was Rocky. Okay, so next one's right here. Oh, I'm almost out of reviews, although some people sent some earlier today that I'll check out. All right. Let's check this out. Oh, nice sort of animation. Video background, that works well because it's desaturated quite a bit, or it's darkened. So this stuff on the foreground contrasts well with it. Again, I would space these out just a tad bit more. Let's come down here. Nice animations that come in based on scroll. This part might want to be a little bit reworked. Who we are, vertical text. That's always a hard one to pull off. I mean, you could do it, but I just think the way it's aligned, I would align this to the top here. Maybe, I'm not sure. I would rework it in some manner and maybe pull this text, make it start over here, so it's a little bit closer and spans all the way. Outside of that, though, everything's pretty solid here. Good card-based design. I like that. Nice. This works. We're getting some good designs here this week. Now, see, when it comes to galleries, though, that are based on things that aren't UI design or something that has a lot of fine detail, it does work without padding. And this would be one of those instances because they clearly contrast from one another. So that works well. Good pricing section. I'm not too sure about making them yellow, though. I don't know. The fade makes it look a little bit strange during the transition. But still, pretty effective. I like it. Good. So, a lot happening here that's correct, and just a few very small nitpicky things I had. So, overall, very good. Let's check out the next one. All right, cool. We'll open up this one. Let me close some browser windows over here. Check out the chat. All right, everything's still going smooth. All right. On this resolution, you know, we're at in terms of width, we're at 1920. You can definitely space things out in a more vertical sense. So what I'm talking about is, let me just do it. Oops, wrong thing. Let me just do this real quick to illustrate my point. So, for instance, one thing definitely I would change, because it's getting a little bit cluttered right here, as I would take this element and margin bottom, push it out a little, push it down just a bit more. Maybe do margin top on this one. Like 50 pixels. I think it will just flow a little bit better. Whereas before, right here, if I refresh, it's just a little bit cluttered, but still, I like the type. Good visual hierarchy, good contrast in color. You can still read this. Let's come down here. So here is, yeah, an example where there is a little bit of padding, but it works. So I can't really, oh, I can click on them. Okay. So yeah, this is all simple, very simple. Good slide out navigation. Everything looks and works well here. Good stuff. Let's do the next one. It was Vince. All right, here's a personal site. All right. Yeah, like I've always mentioned before, we have 2 columns, and you're centering the text in one. I've never been a big fan of that. So what I would do is take everything here. It looks like this is probably text align center. Yeah, and then increase the size of all this stuff as well by a fair amount. Letter spacing, I would get rid of that. The font size, kick that up to like 3 gram. And then your web developer or front end web developer text, I would make that font size maybe like 1.7 em. Yeah, somewhere around there. Maybe you can go as low as like 1.2. Yeah, I would choose like something like that. Looks like we could get away with maybe just doing 10, and then the latest work, really push that down to really separate it. That call to action there. So margin top. I just hit display block so I could put margin top on that, and it kind of screwed it up, but maybe not 100 pixels, maybe like 40 pixels. See if I do inline block, see if that changes anything. No, it doesn't. Is there a width on this? There we go. So this is much more effective than what you had before. So if I refresh, we'll see what you had before, but look at this. And then I'll refresh, and I think definitely it was an improvement before. So just a small thing. This right here, I'm not too sure I would keep that. It's pixelated, I can tell. On my monitor here, it looks a little bit pixelated, so it doesn't look like it's SVG. Although then again, whenever I take my 4K monitor and I change the resolution 1920 by 1080, sometimes it will make things look a little blurry. So if this is SVG, that's my bad. But the thing is, these icons right here, I like them in and of themselves. Their design, I like them, but it's too close to this avatar illustration. So I would probably rework the location of this, maybe push it over here underneath stuff. And I think that would be better. Continuing on, it would be really cool to have it like this by default and not have to hover over them, because then it will give this section a little bit more structure. So keep this by default because I like this. The About Me, left align that to where this starts here. Also push your icon, your avatar up to where About Me begins. I think it'll help the layout a little bit better. That's not bad. Projects. Yeah, everything else is pretty good here. So thanks for that, Jacob. All right. The first thing the impression I get is everything's just a little bit small. To accommodate or to fix that, I would take your name, font size. We'll do margin top. Maybe not 50, maybe like 30 pixels. Margin bottom, maybe like that's definitely an improvement over what you had before. For you have quite a few links here for your navigation. I don't know, I'd almost maybe to give more color because everything's quite monotone here. I would maybe put a background on this entire bar. So let me see if I can do that. I mean, you don't have to, and this is just a personal suggestion. It's kind of a subjective thing. So instead of green, let's use a different color here. Then make the I'd have to get in there and change the I don't know, maybe that would be coming out a little bit too much, but I just think color somewhere in this situation would be a good idea. I like white here, so I would change these all white possibly. All right, coming down here, you definitely give yourself more space between these titles and this text. It's a little bit too close, so push it down by like 20 or 30 pixels, this stuff. Maybe spread these out just a little bit more away from each other. This works. All right, everything else seems to be pretty decent here. Good stuff. All right, let's continue on. Who's that? Eric. All right. All right, so this top navigation, I would probably scale down the lettermark logo, maybe by 20%. So if this is at 100%, maybe go to like to 80%, because it seems quite thick up here, this navigation, and you're losing a little bit of space about that. Other than that, this is fine. This background here, this works. It almost seems like there should be some type of separator here. Like the standard convention is usually just having, this blue part end right here, like a straight line, or sometimes these days people are using Bezier curves or whatever, and then having maybe like a contrasting color, like white usually, or a very light gray for your background here. So something to separate this out, because it just it seems like the layout just kind of breaks right here. Or it's just, it feels empty. But so a way to do that is to, create these compartments, essentially, like a hero section up here. It's clearly defined, and then down here you'll have your main content right here. Let's see, about me. That works. Type works. You can read it. It's easy enough to see. Let's see. Maybe separate these out a little bit more in terms of your white space from the top and bottom of these three these three columns right here. So just push them out, especially on this larger resolution. I think it would be easier. Things are a little bit running into each other, but still, it's effective. I like the icons, and I can read it. It's easy to see. Good contrast. All right, that's simple, it works. This works as well. Maybe just push down this section from the bottom of this type a little bit, because there's quite a bit of type, and I think it'd help just to push things out a little bit more. Yep, and this works as well. So there's a lot right happening here. Just a few things. So thanks for that submission. We're at 45 minutes already. Time flies. All right. Our developer community, madhacks.co. I've always opened these up on a different monitor just to make sure that no one's trolling me with like porn or something. So, Mad Hacks. All right. Yeah, I like this. Easy type, easy to read type, very simple. Good visual hierarchy, which is, clearly defining and prioritizing your content. So this is big and large. This is smaller for the subtitle. It works. And then a clear call to action right here. I would make the whole button though a cursor pointer in your CSS rule set, not just this part. Let's see here. Very simple type. This works. Very easy to read. Call to action, a illustration. This works as well. This section I'm not too sure about, because these we have standard headlines which work well. They're right next to the content, and then over here we have features, which is, you know, at this resolution it's pretty far away from the content. I might stick to this regular convention up here possibly, and then I would find a way maybe to bring these a little bit closer together, or do something in a way that these aren't so far apart and there's so much white space in the middle. Still though, it works. Also, this is an issue because you can see this is centered and this is centered, but this is off-centered. Same thing with this. Again, minor just alignment issues, nothing huge. All right, everything else seems to be pretty solid here. Cool, thanks for that. All right. We'll do this one. Interesting loading animation. Oh, that's a cool sort of thing occurring here. All right, so good logo. We have a nice large sort of menu system here that works. This definitely works. I might yeah, it's a minor thing, I don't know. No, I'm not even gonna mention it. I was gonna say maybe move this up and then whatever. This is fine though. What we do, and you do it well. This is good. This is good. Everything's separated out well in terms of type, in terms of your headline and descriptions. There's good contrast there. This works well. I like the thumbnails. Again, these aren't UI design or screenshot style gallery thumbnails, so you can get away with not having padding between these elements, because you clearly can tell where each one begins and ends. So that works. Awesome stuff. Yeah, not much really to critique there. All right, for the first time ever, we ran out of submissions. I think maybe to change things up for next week, I'll think about doing a challenge, like a design challenge of some sort. I may even thinking about maybe even doing a video for tomorrow on Saturday where I announce what that design challenge will be. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll have to think about that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and check the YouTube chat here, see if anybody had questions or anything. All right, so that is going to be it for the portfolio reviews. We're at 50 minutes now anyhow. So yeah, I think we're going to change this up so next week we're not going to do a portfolio review, and we'll let some time elapse before I do another one, because I think I'm really you know, oversaturated at this point with the reviews. So next week might be a design challenge, which is something I used to do several years ago, where I give some type of design challenge to the community and I would check them out and give guidance in that manner. All right, guys, I will see you next week. All right, see you later. Now if I could just shut this off real quick.